Josette Rigsby, Technology Editor with Nearshore Americas. I'm here with Matt Simons, Offshore Principal with ThoughtWorks. So why did you guys elect to establish your primary Latin American location in Brazil?
Okay. Well, that's a good question. So we laid the groundwork for ThoughtWorks Brazil over a period of many years, actually. We started hiring Brazilians into ThoughtWorks Australia, ThoughtWorks UK, ThoughtWorks US as much as 4 or 5 years ago. And we did that, I think, because we hire and really target really top-end software developers, some of the best software developers in the world. And the ones we hired from Brazil seemed to have a strong background in open source software. Actually, they had sort of earned their chops and their global reputation, as it were, on some of the big open source projects, which the Brazil technology community is very open to. And so they were ready to join ThoughtWorks, and we, looking ahead to a future time when we'd want to be in Brazil, we brought them on board around the world. So then when it became time to kind of open up something in South America, Brazil was one of the natural choices because we had a bunch of Brazilians who were more than happy to go home and help establish ThoughtWorks Brazil.
What other locations did you guys consider?
Yeah, so we did look at Argentina, and we did some cursory studies of other places, but it really, at the end of the day, came down to Argentina or Brazil, and ended up in Brazil.
So one of the things that you've mentioned in some of your articles is that there's a seniority gap between what's available in Latin America and what's available domestically here in the United States. Why do you think that there is that seniority gap with developers?
Yeah, it's just the maturity of the industry. I mean, there people have spent 20, 30, even 40 years in the IT industry in the U.S. And while IT is in software is a hugely talent-driven business, there is also an element of experience. You can take the most talented 22 or 23-year-old. They need a few experiences, a few go-lives, a few hard support requests coming their way before they're really fully capable enterprise-class software developer. So it's contrast that with something like engineering, where you can take the say civil engineering. You can take a really smart whippersnapper who's 25 years old. It really takes them 10, 15 years to become a truly senior master of their craft. In IT, you can accelerate that process, but not to zero. Right? There's a combination of talent and experience. And just due to the time that big, complex software has been being developed in the Latin American market, there's just a curing process that has to happen for true software architects to start popping out that have the miles on the tires, as it were, to really be able to cope with a variety of situations.
So you guys are well known as visionaries in the Agile space. What do you see any differences whenever you're using a nearshore vendor or even an offshore vendor of being able to actually have an Agile team? Is there a difference between being on premises and doing a stand-up, versus using like a webinar or some type of web conferencing software? What have you guys observed?
Yeah, so we only do Agile for distributed delivery, and it's been that way for 10 years. So if we're working, we really cut our teeth doing distributed delivery with Asia and ThoughtWorks India, continued to do it with ThoughtWorks China, and when we established ThoughtWorks Brazil a year and a half ago, it was Agile from day one. There was really no other way that we would think about doing it. And we brought all of the practices that we've learned over the years to make distributed Agile work, which is really sort of disciplined Agile project management, disciplined Agile development, plus a bunch of extra stuff that you have to do differently to cope with the distribution. We brought those to ThoughtWorks Brazil, and then the time zone proximity and the location proximity allowed us to add a few more that weren't really feasible aren't really feasible if you're separated in time by 12 time zones. So as an example of some of the things that you're able to do with the nearshore model to make Agile even more closely resembling what you can achieve with a co-located team, you can actually make remote pair programming work. It's not as good as sitting next to each other at a keyboard, but it's much more feasible than trying to pair program with someone who should be asleep at the time you pair program with them, right?
Yeah.
Another thing we've done that's a little bit different is we keep, or we offer, not all clients choose this, but we offer the option of having a full-time, dedicated, on-demand video conference link just open between all the work sites, so that anyone can walk up to this screen, push a button, and talk to anyone else at any time. And that's another sort of thing, a way to augment the way you do things that isn't so feasible with massive time shore separation, and does increase the cohesiveness and the intimacy of the teams that the teams can achieve.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions that I have for you today.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for taking time to
No problem.
talk with us.